Welcome back to the Blazing for Lethal YouTube channel. This video is a little overdue. I originally planned to release it about 3 weeks ago, but I've been testing like mad for the Nats season, and the list has changed so frequently that all my old recordings are kind of moot now because the deck list I'm currently playing and the list I originally recorded with are very different. Um, Less than a week to US Nats, this is kind of my finalized list, or what's most likely going to be my finalized list. And I'm just going to show some videos of how I utilize Kindle into some of the top decks. Even some decks that I would normally pitch deck into, such as New. The card's very, very powerful, extremely versatile. Uh, it's really shaped the way that the deck is built now, moving very heavily into combo-oriented gameplay instead of tempo like we did before. Um, I've toyed around with a lot of different builds. One was a 27 blue build focused entirely on Kindle on my turn. Absolutely incredible deck list, I have to say. It could push 10 damage on my own turn very easily, but it bricked on combo turns way too often. Just couldn't handle it. Uh, and so I moved to the other extreme. I played a 37 blue combo list, and that was actually really fun to play. You could basically never brick on a combo turn except for hitting blues off the top. But the post combo game was so egregiously bad that it just didn't work either. So we bounced around, eventually came back to a 33 blue variant, as you'd expect. In fact, it's card for card, basically the same as a traditional Kano list, except instead of 3 flares and 3 booms and 3 snapbacks, we've got the 3 Kindle and then just 2 Cindering, 2 flare, and 2 boom. All those cards are very strong in very specific scenarios, and so they're good enough that I want at least 2 of them in the deck so that I can draw them fairly consistently, but I don't really want 3 of them in any given situation, especially Cindering Foresight. Amazing card. This card alone, combined with Kindle, opens up an entirely new line of actual kill combos. However, drawing 2 in one hand is really bad. And so I moved to a build roughly this way. All 0 or 1 cost blues now. We don't want 2 costs. They don't jive well with Kindle and Wildfire combos. We're just trying to extend the lines as far as we can. And then the sideboard. Sink Belows for stack matchups, Scour for Enigma, 1 for Force for Enigma, the Mirror, and of course Prism. I hope to dodge her as best I can. But everything else is very good. So yeah, I think this deck is absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited to play it at Nats, and here are some games showing off what Kindle can do into Zen, Azaelia, and a New. Not necessarily definitive games by any means. There's some big mistakes that I make and my opponents make here and there, but just some fun games that I think you'll enjoy watching, and will show off the power of this new Kano deck. And here we are, game 1 against an Azaelia. Not a completely typical build, as he's lacking the Spellfray Cloak, but good enough. Ravenous Rabble right off the bat. It's going to be a very aggressive build. Pretty normal outside of not having Spell Void. And this opening hand is potentially game-breaking. We've got Energy Potion, which I obviously want to play. Kindle in hand, 3 blues in hand, and Kindle can fairly easily set up a 10 to 30 damage turn, depending on what I flip off the top. So in a situation like this, we're just going to take the damage. We're going to force her to run out anything and everything she can, and we're just going to start flipping off the top, especially because an Inertia arrow was fired. Inertia, laced with inertia, and we can't actually block out the arrow regardless. And look at that, we pulled a lesson off the top. Very happy to see that. We're going to Kano again. Could go straight into shooting lesson and grabbing something, but I don't think it's particularly worth it. Hopefully we draw a blue off of here. We don't. We draw another Kindle. Absolutely fine. Damage is going sky high now because we can shoot our lesson and we can guarantee to pay for both reverb and a blazing. So he's going to AB, he's going to take 4. We're going to shoot a reverb, not going to do all that much. We're not banishing or anything. Doesn't matter, but we're going to be able to blazing again. Total of 5, so 10 damage on turn 0. Excellent start. We're going to take a hefty amount of damage ourselves, and we're losing our arsenal, but he doesn't have an arsenal either, so excellent outcome for us. We're taking potentially 11 damage. Turn 1, we dished out 10 of our own. Very happy to see that. All right, turn like this, pretty straightforward. We're going to Kano a bunch of times. we're going to play an energy potion, and well, that's it. Um, this is actually pretty fun. We can shoot a sap for 2, potentially pulling a card from hand, as the tunic counter is actually very important to an Azalea's game plan. And I do believe, yes, indeed, he burns it, so very happy to see that. Play out an energy potion. We're taking 2 damage, so we took 11 total on our turn 0. Pretty extreme, and we don't have an arsenal, but neither did she. We're happy about that. And this is a terrible hand. Ideally, I want either Arsenal Blazing or Cindering Foresight. And we're going to see a red in the ledger. Probably. Definitely. Very lucky that I don't have another blue in hand, because I could potentially kill her right from here. If that flare was a blue, I could Cindering and find some good combo cards off the top. Sadly, not what happens. I just opt to eat all of it. And I'm going to shoot my Cindering Foresight here because, um, well, it's an idea. And I think it's probably worth it. Information's great. I want to know what I'm drawing into. And since I can't afford to Kano and Flare, and this is a disgusting hand. I do not like it at all. It's so close to being good. If that was a D-pot on board, absolutely keeping all 3 on top. But I can't afford to do that. No, instead we're just going to shoot our Flare. It probably takes a card from hand. Most certainly considering the health totals. And then I'm looking at a Tome and a Blazing, which I'm pretty happy about. Tome, Blazing, and a Kindle, and I drew the 2 blues. That's why I bought him the other Tome. This hand can definitely get a kill. We'll see what she's going to shoot at me. It's most likely going to represent lethal, but we can absolutely, with a bit of luck, get a kill out of this hand. Mostly because of Kindle, because we have several very good hits. Lesson is a great hit. Boom is a good hit. Flare is a good hit. Wildfire is obviously probably the best, but time to shoot here. So sequencing is a little bit awkward. What you have to do is you go Kano, Kano, and then thankfully we drew Brew. That makes it nice. We could always pop a potion, but go Kano, Kano, banish our Tome, draw a card off of Kindle. Horrendous, but it's fine. Sending that, we drew the 2 blues. We banish a Boom. Fantastic. Scalding Rain. Less than fantastic. And now we need to do some math. So we got Blazing following up. We've got Boom. Boom's not bad. I'm going to shoot Boom blind here. If it hits something great, amazing. We've got a good follow-up, and this will pull AB out of his hand. If not, we can just keep going. Flare is really, really good. And now we have to do some math. So if I go Flare, and that's a blue in hand, even if it's a red in hand, we have to do math. A Flare is going to come in for 5. He's going to take 3. 3, and then a Scalding Rain for 7. For 5. And then a Blazing is not actually going to be a kill, and that's why I had to pause here. I had to think about it. I need the Kano again one more time to get the job done. And it depends on what I hit off the top, but preferably something with a good amount of damage. And again, I'm redoing the math, trying to figure out, can I get a kill? If that's a blue in hand, this line right here will not get a kill. I'm going to have to Kano again. If I hit another Flare or I hit a Boom, I'm cooking. If I hit another blue off the top, I'm not particularly happy, but it might be just enough to get me over the edge. Ideally, I want a Tome or a Flare off the top. I get a Lesson in Lava instead. Honestly, that's okay. I'm able to pay for a Flare, a Lesson, a Scalding Rain, and still crack Striders. So I shoot this one first because I am trying to scare him into using AB on this. It really works out both ways. If he does AB this, I can shoot a Flare for full damage. If he doesn't AB it, it's just 3 damage to add on to my Blazing total, and I think it's perfectly acceptable. Once more, though, not quite enough. I don't have enough resources to do a proper line, so I grab a Tome. Tome, as long as it draws me a blue, will let me fully pump the line I want to. And that's exactly what I do. I can now forward a Flare into the Scalding Rain, into a Blazing Aether. Very nifty line. It pulled out his AB. If it hadn't, I could have grabbed something else, but Him using AB lets me just grab Tome, lets me pay into my Metacarpus nodes, and shoots a Flare for 5 into the Scalding Rain, into a Blazing Aether. A very nifty line. Possibly not the optimal way to play this turn, but it was very fun to do and an excellent experiment, and it worked quite well. I will say against Azaelia in particular, because she denies Arsenal very often, we do a lot of unorthodox non-wildfire lines, and this was a very fun showcase of that. And game 2, we've got a Zen. Zen is another one of those 50-50 matchups where if you see it at the right time, you're going to get the win. If you don't see it early, you're going to lose the game. And by early, I mean turn 2 or turn 3. Thankfully, this version of the deck is very good at burning through, but opening turn is very straightforward. Poke with whatever I can, dig. We want to find a potion on turn 0 if possible. Unfortunately, I didn't draw that. He already pitched away 2 solid combo cards, though, so I'm fine with this. And this is an interesting hand. We could potentially kill him right here. It depends on if he taps out or not. Probably not going to tap out, but he's no Arsenal, which is very important. So in a turn like this, we're just eating the damage. He doesn't have a lot of threatening on hits, but more importantly, this hand could potentially kill him. If we flip a flare off the top, if we flip a boom off the top, a tome off the top, there's a lot of very, very strong potential lines here. It's already at 37. If I flip a spindle, I'm going to opt into a kill, almost certainly. So I'm just going to let him go crazy. He's got a Crouching Tiger in hand now, so he's got a single card left over to hit me with. And it's just me 3 go again. We're taking it. We're going to force him to extend as far as possible. He's probably scared too because I'm not blocking, which in turn means he's probably going to extend less, which will give me more time if I choose not to fire. 3 again. 3 go again. Him having the 2 blues is quite nice because he can draw cards and give it go again. But there's no threatening line. There's no bonds. There's no Descendant Gustwave. This is a very good situation for me. Spinning Wheel Kick is an interesting choice, although I do understand the logic behind it. It's just an extender. I don't think he has another one. So it's just raw damage, and we will take raw damage. We're very happy to do that. So he's got a Crouching Tiger in hand. He's got one other card. Pitched a blue. It's probably a red in hand. If he shoots it, we're probably going to go for a kill. If he just goes to Arsenal, I'm perfectly content to go to my turn and play an Energy Potion. There's some debate here on whether or not we want to peek at the top, and I ultimately choose not to because I'm not under threat of dying, and because I don't have a potion on board and I've got a yellow in hand. Not great. And that was paid off heavily because that on the top is quite garbage. This is a very, very interesting opt. And I end up redoing it several times over, trying to figure out the best way to do it, because I can Kano into a spindle, shoot spindle for 5, and guarantee that I have a blazing in that. Or I could play a potion, draw some cards, play a tome and draw some cards, or I could play a potion, in which case I most likely want to Kano away my blazing and my tome of Findel with the blazing and the blue in the opt. And once more, I have to undo it and think again. The line I end up taking, however, is shooting a spindle because it's going to strip cards from hand, and it should theoretically set me up with 3 blues and a blazing aether, or ideally 2 blues, a blazing, and a Kindle. Although if the Kindle draws a red and the Regs draws a red, you're just going to cry a little bit. But that doesn't happen very frequently with this blue count. And he takes it. He has a very, very strong hand. At least I hope he does. I believe it's an Art of War hand, so I kind of understand it. And this gives us a free reign to just have Tome blazing on top and a bunch of blues, and we're ready to launch it no matter what he does. You do have to be very wary of 12 petal because the Zen state token will kill you if it lands. I once dealt 39 damage through a Zen state token, and he had, well, what was it? I think it was a Wildfire Boom Flare Blazing line, and it still didn't get the job done. This was a little bit cheap because he undid it after not banishing off of Ancestral, but whatever. I don't really care because I'm trying to get a, I don't know, worst case scenario is the right word for it, but I would like to have a little tougher game. And so I'll let him do it. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to launch a combo of Wildfire, Blazing, and a Tome on the top. And since I'm not burning my Ragamuffin's hat, that means if I draw into another combo piece, we're still cooking. And it's going to be a Bonds line. We're okay with this. The only one that's banished currently is a Spinning Wheel Kick. There's no really dangerous Bonds setup right now. We're not looking at a double or triple Bonds turn. It's just solid damage, and damage is fine, but if there's no on-hit, Kano just doesn't care. We're going to take it until he threatens lethal, and then I'm going to try to shoot lethal right back at him. And now I just need to wait. He has to pitch a card. And the moment he pitches a card, I'm ready to shoot. He's probably reconsidering his life decisions right now. I've taken all the damage. I opted everything near the top. He knows I'm about to shoot. And he goes for a Fluster Fist, which is a mistake without question, because now I know he's just got a Crouching Tiger in hand, so he's going to go out like a light. As I said in the intro, there are some serious mistakes made by both players in these games. But the idea is simply to get a feel for the deck. Yeah, and now we're just high rolling. Drawing a gaze there is excellent because I can Ragamuffin's Hat one to the top. If I draw a combo card, I just put that on top. If I don't draw a combo card, I just put gaze on top and I can opt into one. But I don't need to in this case. This is game over. But a very fun way to utilize a tome, I must say, going tome for +2 instead of drawing a cards. This actually does pop up into Spell Void decks where you just want to add as much damage to the Wildfire as you can. Sometimes that's worth more than an extra spell will be. But that's usually against Spell Void 4, Levia in particular, or Bolton. But here I'm allowed to Wildfire for 8, even if he had AB, he was in the death zone. Takes 10. I'm blazing for lethal. And on we go to new. This is a very strange game coming up here. I start out with the high roll and end up low rolling like crazy midway through the game. Double Kindle line, beautiful. This hand could absolutely kill turn 0. Well, turn 1. My turn 1. His turn 1. Anyhow, very, very easy to get a kill with this as long as my flips are generous. They aren't generous in this game. I believe I comboed 3 times in this, and you're going to see it. It's going to be fun. We take it, absolutely. And now we're going to go for it. If we don't flip garbage off the top, we can definitely get a kill out of this hand. Just go Kano, Kano, activate Crucible, and then you can go into double Kindle. However, I never actually hit anything good here. I Kano'd, I dug. How many cards here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Didn't actually hit a Wildfire. This is a solid enough combo piece. We can, if we find a Blazing, that is, can be great. Unfortunately, there's an Oasis Respite. This is why I pitch stack new. And it's really not that great of a draw. I have a couple of options. I could go for a lesson. A lesson won't actually help me that much. I'm actually enjoying the idea of bottoming a couple of them and then going for a tome to draw on. This is a pretty obscure line though. I did flip an arc, which means I can just leave lesson on top and I'm going to draw it from the ponder token. Or I could have gone for tome, draw into cindering and the lesson. But from all blues to a few too many reds, this hand is not good at all. We're not going to be able to combo him from here. which is just unfortunate. So we eat it. If that Oasis hadn't been there, I would have been able to opt into Tome, draw 2 blues, Flare, lessen potentially Blazing. So now we're just setting up. I'm going to shoot that, pitching away my Spindle. The logic here is I'm going to try to find another combo piece. Most likely Cindering Foresight. I want to go for a combo without actually burning my equipment. That's one of the big strengths of this new version of Kano, is you can combo without running all your equipment out. However, it can be a little bit risky. You are not guaranteed to actually find a kill, as we saw with my first Kindle line. I didn't find the Wildfire, I didn't find a Blazing. Did find a Spindle, he had an Oasis, so that was disappointing. But this is a beautiful setup. Probably my favorite combo setup in the entire game right now. Epot, Kindle, 3 blues, and a Cindering Foresight. We eat everything he sends, and we're going to go for Cindering and try to find a kill. Big thanks by the new player in this turn. You're never really happy when Kano just says no blocks. Interesting opting to just buff it. Understandable, I suppose. Hopefully we find something good. And as I said, we do not hit very well in this. I opt away 3 blues. Keep track of that. 4 blues. 5 blues. Though the potion's not bad, but I'm trying to kill him right now, so it's not ideal either. 5 blues. At this point, we are, without question, not going for a kill anymore. Potion's okay for setup, but this is the second time I've tried to combo and it's failed again. I would much rather have had a Blazing Aether at this point, or a Wildfire, or even a Lesson in Lava to find damage. And now we just have to pass. We still have Kindle, and it's fine. This hand is okay. Depending on the damage output, we're just going to shoot Spindle and try to find blue/Wildfire. However, she's sending a decent chunk of damage, so I decide, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to keep blocking until I find a Wildfire. Because Wildfire and Kindle is basically guaranteed to get a kill. This is unfortunate, so just blocking 6. Could have been worse. We ship the turn again. We draw. We want that Wildfire. This hand, however, absolutely can get a kill. We've seen a couple Blazings. Wildfires, however, have not. So what we're going to do is we're going to depot my Tome to the top with 2 blues. We're going to Kano twice. We're going to get some Kano looks. We're going to dig. We're going to try to find a kill. And he pitched a red. So it's likely going to be a red. Or he's just baiting us and has a blue to hold back. However, this is another great opportunity to try to shoot, and shoot we shall. There it is. And there's another Wildfire. And then it gets fun. So if I want to, I can crack the depot to put an energy potion into play and draw up 3 blues. And I do believe that's the line I'm going to take, and then I'm going to pass it back. Although you'll notice, I definitely could have fired last turn. If I had, I would have gone Kano, pitching a Tome and a blue. Would have banished a Tome, draw 2 blues. Then I would have banished a blue, and then I would have banished a Wildfire. So I probably could have fired last turn, and I very possibly would have killed him. But that's small potatoes. We've got another turn. We're going to use it. He pitched that. That's pretty great. So I'm going to take the opportunity to set up a 3 blue hand, Wildfire, Kindle, and 2 energy potions. We've already seen Kindles previously, which means there's 0 bricks left in the deck. I don't run Ivaphidia, so this turn should be the turn we can finally go. And there's a CNC floating 2. The only thing that's really going to ruin us now is going to be an Oasis for Spite, and even then we could potentially fight through it. Prognosticate. Not the best card to see right now, but it will do. Tome's very good. Now we've got a shot. We're going to Kano and Rags here. If it's a really bad card, we can just use Striders to banish whatever we draw. We don't. So we've got Wildfire. Striders is still up, which means if we draw into a combo piece, we are able to play it still. We've got the Kindle. Now we're just going to draw cards. We're buffing up Wildfire. Wildfire is going to be for 7. Draw another Wildfire. This is a very interesting line. We could go for a double Wildfire line, breaking Striders, going Wildfire, Wildfire, Prognosticate, which is quite a bit of damage, to put it mildly. However, it might not be a kill. I do have 2 energy potions up, and I'm contemplating the ways of the universe, what the best line is actually going to be, and I decide what we're going to do is we're going to crack, and we're going to shoot a Wildfire. We're going to try to respond to an Oasis Respite, if he has one, with another Wildfire. Now I'm mapping out my resources. What do I have? Really what I want to do is I want to have my Prognosticate connect so I can opt one more. I'm waiting. Does he have it? If he doesn't have an Oasis, he does, then I just let Wildfire hit. Not the case this time, though. I'm going to bank on my energy potions, letting me Kano again after this. So this one's going to come in thanks to the amp mechanic for 7. It's going to take 6. Then the Wildfire is going to come in for 11. It's going to block 4. Then I'm going to prog. I've got 1 floating. Very important. Leave the 1 floating in case you need to hit a tome off the top. Speaking of a tome of Findle, that is. Any spell wins. I decide to keep the tome. Could potentially kill me if I draw poorly. I had an energy potion, started sweating here, but literally anything that isn't a 2 cost, and there's very few in the deck, gets a win. And thankfully, I do in fact draw or flip a 1 cost, and I'm able to get the kill. That was an uncomfortable game. The multiple Oasis Respites is why I personally always go for stacking. It's just a good insurance. If you're really concerned about it, you can run 7 to 10 defensive cards. I think that's overkill myself. But I went on a long kick of trying to just tempo everything. It works into most, not really Warrior. Warrior runs a lot of prevention effects, so tempo can be a little risky. But there you have some games with Kindle, some of my thoughts as I was playing the game. As I'm sure you saw, I made some really silly mistakes throughout the game. And some of them bit me, some of them didn't. My opponents also make some questionable choices. It's really quite impressive how the moment you land a potion or two and start to not block, they assume you have it and they have to change their gameplay quite a bit, giving themselves an IP in order to not just die. As you saw in the earlier part of this new game, I got a little unlucky not hitting a good combo piece off the top with my second combo attempt. Otherwise, I quite literally could have just won out of the blue. Didn't even need to burn my equipment for it. But all in all, it worked out well. The deck is very, very strong. Cindering Foresight and Kindle allowing for non-equipment combos is very important to the deck. And everything's just gotten much, much better. So there you have some Kindle Kano for you. And with that, I will possibly see some of you at Nats. Hopefully going to win Nats. And if not, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you in the comment section and in further videos.